Reason is usually the servant to desire. Now that's a really powerful quote we need to understand, especially if we're just starting the hero's journey and we're really not sure we want to accept the mission. We're really looking for reasons not to go through with this because it's quite overwhelming. Now that was Schopenhauer speaking. Another good quote by Voltaire would be, "Often admitted the frailty of reason. I know that it tends to prove anything suggested by our desires." Again, my friends, our desires, what we want, can truly influence how we look at things. And this is important to understand because we're going to come upon a lot of information that's going to challenge our belief system. The truth has enemies. Everything in our society of any significance has everything to do with our health, and everything related to health, all of the solutions related to health are going to be somehow shot down to try to convince you not to do it. Case in point is a recent article by Mike Adams earlier this week. Pathetic article written by someone that's controlled opposition. Now we have to understand how controlled opposition works, because we can use controlled opposition provided we understand where they're coming from and how they're going to try to stick it to us. With Mike Adams, like all controlled opposition, they'll tell you 100 things that are true just to get you to believe in the one lie that's crucial to them. So Mike Adams and people like even Alex Jones, they put out a lot of good information, but there's always something they're getting you with to keep you or keep us where we are. That's how controlled opposition works. I did a really good video series, 8-part video series back in December called the Trivium Quadrivium Deception, where I explain how controlled opposition works. And this is really more for those on the hero's journey where we got 5 stages, and one of them that we really understand. If we're on the hero's journey for any length of time and we try to get the message out, we soon understand the obstacles. And I'm kind of talking about the obstacles here, but I'm really referring to the type of obstacles that happens to most of us early on the hero's journey. Why? Because reason is a servant to desires. All we have to do is allow our desires to get the best of us, and that's usually what happens. So when we see information, we really are guilty of cognitive bias. We want good news about our bad diet and our bad habits, and we want bad news about the thing that everyone says we should do and we're having trouble doing. So if we just take a quick glance, for example, at this horrible article by Mike Adams, he brings up a point that a lot of people bring up. Oh my God, these women, they're not menstruating anymore. It's dangerous, 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 and that's all poppycock. And then he had the nerve to go to some gynecologist and get her advice, like as if she's supposed to be an expert in this. And we all know, most of us do if you're into this field at all, that hysterectomies are one of the most abused operations there are. One of the worst statistics I remember hearing early on was that if you're a woman and you live within, I think it was 50 miles within a city, the chances of you having a hysterectomy were like, oh, I forgot what the number, but it was pretty substantial. Meaning that if you were close enough within their grasp, they're going to yank that organ out of you. It just shows you how little they know about this system. My friends, I understand my limitations. I even did a video on this, on whether or not women should bleed, and I admitted my weaknesses from the beginning. I know I'm not a woman, and I know how arrogant it could be to have any man even suggest they know anything about this topic. But I've studied it extensively. I followed a lot of women on a raw food message board for a long time, and they all pretty much say the same thing. And I coach a lot of women on a solid food vacation, and you know what they usually tell me? Oh, I started my period today, but I didn't even know it happened because I usually have about 3 days warning. I didn't have it this time. Oh, it's not detox. No, we're not using that. Of course it is. That's, again, the people who are supposed to be our experts, they don't know that our body's nothing but a bunch of cells and 2 fluids. The kitchen's the blood, it feeds the cells. The lymph system's the bathroom. It cleans and protects the cells. And the lymph system is backing up into the tissues. It goes to organs that can eliminate the body, the nose and sinus areas, the lungs, the uterus, the vagina area. That's why they have this discharge. It's an organ that can eliminate the body. So, don't take my word for it. Do it yourself. The key here is you have to know what you're doing. There's a difference between hemorrhaging and ovulating. And the beauty about what I've studied is that all the women say, look, I'm still ovulating. I have not gone below that magic 10% or 12% body fat percentage that women can go down, and then they don't menstruate because they don't ovulate. It's a different story if you are still ovulating. So you can tell very easily if you're still ovulating, women. Very simple to do that. Just got to test a certain time of month with a little bit of mucus, and you know whether or not you're still ovulating. And my dog is off and running. And anyway, so that was one thing they brought up. The other thing that they always bring up is the deficiency side of this. If it's not the deficiency, it's well, it just doesn't work long term. So those are the main critiques that you get on the raw food diet. It doesn't work long term. Hang on. It doesn't, what can they say? We know it works short term, but it doesn't work long term. Poppycock. And there's a reason why it might not. Same reason why there can be some deficiencies. We have a species-specific diet. That's a raw vegan diet. It's our ideal diet in an ideal world. We don't live in an ideal world anymore, so now we have another group of needs. That's where some of these deficiencies can come up. Because of the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, the chemical revolution, our environment's toxic in our bodies. Our environment's damaged, it's toxic, but then our bodies are damaged too, so we're not able to make certain level 2 nutrients like B12, for example. But that's not an indictment on the raw food diet, it's an indictment on the mistakes we're making. So what I want to point out in this video is to point out the idiots that say, oh, the raw vegan diet, it has these deficiencies. Well, look what the cooked food diet has. It has the hugest, biggest deficiency of all. Hypo-Heliosis is abnormally low biophoton level. If there's one deficiency we need to worry about, it's hypo-Heliosis. So if you're going to compare B12 and hypo-Heliosis, you're an idiot. You're a fool. There's no comparison. Oh, on a raw food diet we solve all these problems, but we'll have a few deficiencies. Oh, on the cooked food diet, well, we still have those deficiencies, but look at all the other problems we have. It's a joke. It's a joke. This life is I'm telling you, folks, there are people who don't want this information out. This life is an illusion. It's hard to find the truth. Even Plato said that there are two worlds. The world we came from, the truth was easy to find. Everyone had it and there weren't any problems. But this world, we can't find the truth and no one has it, so they act stupidly and wrongly. The truth is hard to find. That's why you've got to play your role and help share this message. If you're new to this journey, don't get discouraged because you see a hit piece on raw food talking about the deficiencies. Because that's a joke. My God, they did a study back in the 50s, I think it was, compared Indian beggars to the average American teenager, and American teenagers were more deficient than the beggars in India that were eating half the amount of food. Raw food deficiencies, poppycock, man. It's the wrong food we're eating that creates the hell we're in. That's what we have to understand. So to look at something as stupid as a couple deficiencies that are due to the damage we've done and have to do with that second group of needs as an excuse not to adopt a raw vegan diet is foolish. Remember, we got two groups of needs, my friends. First one was based on the anatomical limitations we were given at birth. We have a species-specific diet. But then we've made mistakes. We've damaged the environment in our society and the environment in ourselves, and that means that we have another group of needs. We might not be living where we're supposed to. Now we can't, there's no vitamin D in a raw vegan diet. Well, you're not supposed to be living in those places. You're not supposed to have to eat an animal to get your vitamin D. You're supposed to get it from the sunshine. Now, those are the main deficiencies you normally hear about, criticized about the raw vegan diet. B12 and vitamin D. Again, we're not supposed to get our vitamin D from our food. We're supposed to get it from the sun. We are tropical creatures. We're islanders. We're not cave dwellers. And then B12 is a problem for everyone. It's universal. It's not just germane to raw vegans. It's a problem because of the chemical revolution. They sterilized the environment. There's not as much B12 bacteria as there used to be. And then the industrial revolution, according to Brian Clement, he's analyzed all these anatomical drawings over hundreds of years and noticed that our appendix has been shrinking. And that he claims that's due to the processed foods from the Industrial Revolution. So there may be a factor there. He claims that's where we're supposed to be producing our B12. I know we're supposed to make it in our intestines. If we're healthy, we're supposed to be able to make it. So So it's not always going to be a problem for everyone, but it can be. So you can't be dogmatic about this, but you can't bury your head in the sand. You have to accept the fact that we've made one big, huge mistake a long time ago. Don't let your taste buds rule your life. Rise above your desires. Test the night as time has come. Prove to yourself this is true. And be aware of those deficiencies. And when you can do all that, my friends, I guarantee you, you're in for a treat.